Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dorothy O'Byrne here from CCMA. You're welcome, as always, to our Friday CCMA Members Forum. Really looking forward to this webinar this morning with AIB on the title of Putting the Social Back into Social Media. And on screen, you'll see Niamh from WSI here to support us, as always, Cian Corbett and Emer Grehan from AIB, who will both introduce themselves shortly. Cian has just described himself to me as the Joe Dolan of the conference circuit. So he's an expert on the circuit. So we want to make sure we make this as engaging as possible. And for those of you who are regulars involvement in our annual awards, you'll know that AIB nearly have their name on this award category at this point in time. I think they've won it, of the last 6 years, they've won it 5 times. And once were beaten by EA Games, and Karen and the team there in EA Games, I know, are chomping at the bit to come back and be victors again in the near future. But very much, I know, from a judging perspective of the awards, AIB really are best in class and leading within the industry in how they have constantly put in place social media channels to support their customer base. And I think we're really lucky this morning to have Cian and Emer with us to share insights and to share their expertise and their learnings and their approach, obviously, to social and communication through social channels. And as all of you know, since the pandemic, a lot of companies have had to add social channels or, resource them at a higher level than maybe they had before because of the restrictions and contact centres being closed. So delighted to welcome Cian and Emer. I'm going to hand over. As always, we're recording. The presentation will be available for members after the event. And please send through any questions in the chat box to the right-hand side if you haven't been on one of our webinars before, and I'll put them to Cian and Emer at the end. So Cian, handing over, and thanks again.
Thanks so much, Dorothy. Good morning, everyone. You're very welcome to the CCMA Members Forum. And the title of today's presentation is AIB Putting the Social Back into Social Media. And this is a joint presentation from AIB Group Marketing and AIB Direct Services. So meeting speakers, my own name is Cian Corbett. I'm a Digital and Innovation Marketing Manager with AIB. So I oversee a lot of the kind of digital media strategies that we would do, and I lead the community team. And I'm very lucky then to have Emer Grehan on our team. She's a digital content specialist. And both of us are actually ex-agency people, so we would have had a range of kind of experience across multiple industries before kind of settling into the finance services. And as I was saying, the social media program that we put out to our customers is very much a joint effort. So on the right hand side, where myself and Emer sit, are on the digital marketing and innovation team, and we're part of group marketing, so we would be involved in all those kind of wider campaigns and strategies. And then on the other side, we have the direct services and customer services team, and we would work very closely then with the social media customer care team, who do a lot of the heavy lifting in this. And it's funny, like I nearly feel like a fraud sometimes doing this presentation, because these guys are the actual heroes of this work. While myself and Emer would kind of support from a strategic point of view, it's actually the social media customer care team who are carrying out all of the award-winning work. I suppose it's important to realize that when a customer interacts with AIB, they don't see two teams working. They just feel a social experience, and the collaboration then between these two teams is hugely important, because that's exactly what kind of brings the social back into social media. So with a view to adding a bit of interaction to today's presentation, I wanted to put a question out there for yourselves, as practitioners who work in the space of social media. And I just wanted to kind of get a sense of where you feel the future of customer contact is actually going to bring us. Do you think that our customers will require more web chat? Do you feel that they would require more social media support? Or do you feel that there's going to be more voice support from smart speakers? So it'd be interesting to hear what your thoughts are on that. And like a magician, then there'll be a big reveal at the end. I have a small bit of research that we'll be able to compare. So it'll be interesting if you want to add your answers there, and we'll do a reveal at the end of the session. So
might just give them another 10 seconds. Answers are still flying in.
Oh, good. Yeah, I don't want to rush your answers. And there's interesting kind of research behind this, and as marketers and strategists, that's exactly what we try to do. You know, we're very much kind of keeping an eye on the future and looking to see where. Oh, sorry, that's just showing my screen now, is it? I'll bring that back up. Here we are. Always looking at where do we feel the trends are going to bring us, and what supports can we put in place then to best serve our customers. So to give a little bit of context of what we're speaking about today, I'm going to start really broad, and then I'm going to narrow in. Okay, so we live on Earth, and there's 7.8 billion of us on Earth, and 4.66 billion of us have access to the internet. And of that 4.66 billion, 4.2 billion of us use social media. You know, which is kind of staggering, really, when you think about it. You know, as a species, technically, we've never really been more connected than we are now. You know, as a world, we've really rushed and adopted social media as one of our primary forms of communication. If we look more closer to home at Ireland, we've 4.96 million of us living in Ireland. 4.5 million of us have access to the internet, and 3.8 million of us are using social media. So Irish people as a whole have really adopted, and you know, over studies over the years, we really found that Irish people in particular love social media. You know, that's why Facebook would use Ireland as kind of a test bed to try out a load of formats before kind of rolling it out globally. So you know, as Irish people, we really found that we use social media to connect, to keep up with our friends and family, and to learn things, and to spend time and invest time. You know, and we've really kind of adopted that as one of our primary means of communications. So, you know, as a brand, we have to mirror that. We have to make sure that we're there available where our customers want us. On a more granular level for AIB, we've 2.5 million customers, and 1.56 million of them are digital customers. So they love our apps and they love our social spaces. We've 530,000 social media followers across multiple accounts. You know, so these followers are, you know, they're people who've opted in. They want our content in their newsfeed, and they're very open to messaging from AIB as a brand. And then following from that, we have 228,000 incoming conversations. So that's people who love using social media as a forms of interaction with the brand to either get more details on the campaigns that we're running, but more importantly, to kind of get support in using our services. So we've multiple social channels that speak to multiple different communities across the internet. So obviously we have our Facebook channel, and this very much harps back to what I was saying at the start, that it is a collaboration between group marketing and direct services. So we've Facebook, AIB Ireland and AIB GA, where we speak to the GA community, and then we've a fully formed space then for Ask AIB. So we have a wealth of kind of information and support services there available for anyone who needs our help. We have an Instagram presence, AIB Ireland and AIB GA, and then on Twitter we again very much that collaboration. We have AIB Ireland, AIB Biz, AIB GA, and then an Ask AIB channel. You know, that's solely there just to support our customers and be there when they need us. Similarly, we speak to other communities. We have a strong LinkedIn presence where we speak to our business community, and then we have our youth audiences as well on Snapchat and developing on TikTok. And you know, as we're looking at this wide space and this presence that we have over social media, it's important to realize that, you know, people don't go onto social media to have slogans shouted at them. You know, they don't go on social media just to see ad campaigns. And it's funny, as us as marketers and marketing professionals, sometimes you can actually lose sight of that. You know, the evolution of social media over the years has become from a kind of support channel and a relationship building channel to really much more of a broadcast channel. You know, and you're probably seeing yourselves that your media plans have changed over the years to really feature much more digital spends and much more Facebook and Google spends. And what we're seeing there was kind of a fundamental shift. And you could say it's a bit of a divulgence from that relationship and support network into more that broadcasting capability. And I suppose the worry for us there is that you lose those relationships, and you're at risk of becoming very transactional if all you're doing, if all of the content that you're pushing out there is just ads. You know, and it's very hard to build a strong relationship and build real kind of brand ties with the customer if all you're doing is trying to sell to them. So in 2019, we revised our social media strategy, which featured in our CCMA entry, and we call it Be Human. And what we did was we had a look at these trends that are going. So obviously the advances in technology, and we were worried that we were at risk of losing the humanity. So when we were researching this, we did a bit of a deep dive, and we found that Forrester were actually doing some similar research. And I'm just going to quote a great guy there. His name is Deepan Chatterjee from Forrester, and he said, "To be effective as brands, we need to converse with people in a manner that stimulates their emotions. We need to be more human. But we're also in the midst of a digital revolution, a time when there are more devices than human beings on the planet. So we have to be more human, but achieving that end means leveraging technology. So like it or not, the onus is on marketers to invent a new style of communication." And ideally, that's what we've been trying to do at AIB, both in our customer service, but also in our communication. So we built out these kind of Be Human principles that would then influence the type of content, the type of support that we're putting out there. So we had 3 Be Human content principles. The first one was very straightforward, that all content that we push out there needs to add some sort of value. And this is very cognizant of the attention economy that we find ourselves in now. So if someone is opting into your communications, they need to get something back for it. They're going to give you their attention, and you need to give them something back in content. So we're always making sure that there is that value exchange there, you know, that we're either entertaining someone, or we're teaching them something new, or we're giving them a treat that they can't get somewhere else, or we're eliciting an emotional response. We're making them happy, we're making them sad, we're moving them. And the whole time that checklist is really important to us. You know, we're not just taking our TV copy or a radio copy and just plastering it on social to get more impressions. We're actually, if we're taking up space in someone's news feed, we want them to get something from that interaction. The second principle is our top of funnel conversations. So this is, you know, an ongoing negotiation. Really, we've fantastic brand teams whose job really is to push products out there and to engage our audiences like that. What we try to do there is try to really try to build that funnel and have more relaxed top of funnel conversations. So if we're speaking about homes, it's not just about mortgages, it's actually about assisting first-time buyers on their mortgage journey. So what advice can we give to them? What advice can we give them when they're house hunting, or when they're talking to solicitors or to real estate agents? So that whole time we're trying to keep a much more human conversation alive, essentially warming up that audience for that more receptive mortgage conversations. And then the third one is actually quite straightforward. It's about creating social assets for social channels. So we've a great kind of design team, and Emer would have created a lot of the great content that we push out there that is very bespoke to the channels that they're being consumed in. You know, so the context in which that content consumption is happening is really important. So we're not just taking that TVC, we're really embracing the nuances of those social channels, and those nuances then are about the you know, that gift of dialogue. You know, that we're saying, here's a piece of content that can teach you something or can engage you, and what do you think about it? Here's a poll, you know, let us know what you think. Here's an Instagram live, here's a mortgage messenger live. So we're constantly trying to imbue the gifts of social, to have that dialogue there, and making sure that all of the content that we're pushing out there is much more human. Sorry. So now I'm going to get a bit profane and mention the C word, which is of course COVID. I feel people get nervous there when I said C word, and that's probably the guys in direct saying, I knew we shouldn't let group marketing do the presentation. So obviously COVID was a huge changing factor in obviously in the whole world, but primarily in the lives of our customers and how we speak to them. You know, we would really be at fault if we didn't alter how we were approaching and supporting our customers through these challenging times. The COVID effect was felt almost instantly, you know, and our team in direct did an amazing job at coping with the incoming volumes. As you can see from this chart, that in 2019, between 2019 and 2020, there was a 70% increase in incoming volumes, you know, and for anyone kind of dealing with that increase in volume, there was you know, it really took a lot of effort to make sure that we were supporting our audiences where they wanted to. So obviously the phone lines were very, very busy, but we felt that more and more people were turning to social media to actually to talk with an agent and to get that support. To really give you a kind of more visual representation of what this was, in March we saw those volumes absolutely spike, and they continue to spike up and down all the way throughout the year. And it was really, you know, representative of how our customers wanted to talk to us, you know, and the increasing role that social media is playing in customer contact. You know, that our audience and our customers didn't want to be waiting at the end of the phone, you know, and I'm sure the other people on the session today can attest that waiting times really grew. So people really wanted to turn to social media, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that it's device agnostic, you know, that I can go in and ask AIB a question in Messenger on my phone, or as a direct message on Twitter, and I know that answer will be waiting for me when I get back. You know, so I'm not sitting there by the phone waiting in a queue. And we're really seeing a kind of a fundamental shift in that customer contact. You know, that the power is very much now in the hands of the customer, and they have much greater kind of control over when and where they want their queries handled. So I'm actually going to hand over to Emer now, who's going to bring us through the digital customer care strategy that featured very heavily in the CCMA entry.
Yep, so I'm going to briefly go through the digital customer care strategy. As Cian mentioned, this is what we entered into the best use of digital channels in the 2020 CCMAs, and we won, which is why we're here today. Essentially, the goal of this is to improve customer experience digitally before our customers need us, while they're talking to us, and afterwards. What learnings can we take from it and build it back into the strategy? So we kind of have a three-pronged approach to it. The first one being query anticipation, which is using our digital channels to predict behavior and preparing a solution. Then there's digital dialogue, which is acknowledging customers' challenges in an empathetic and personalized interaction. And finally, we have digital assistance, which is using digital channels to empower customers to access their services. So I'm just going to go through all three now. So the first one is query anticipation. If you want to click on, perfect. Thank you, Cian. So basically what this is it's all about social listening. So listening to what the pain points our customers have, what products are we missing, or what products do we have that they don't know we have. So we're listening to hear what customers are saying behind our back, whether they tag us or not, and when they tag us. And then we would compile listening reports and we share them with other areas of the bank, whether it's the product teams who create the products that our customers need, or it's with the marketing teams who make sure that customers have awareness of these products, especially digital products. And if they don't have awareness, also to raise that and find out how to use them. So one example of that we have up on the screen here, which was also from our entry, was raising awareness of the in-app features we have. So these are a lot of day-to-day banking functionalities that people either call up over the phone or go in the branch for, but we do have in-app options for, and maybe people aren't aware. So particularly during COVID, as Cian mentioned, we would have had high volumes into the call center. There would have been increased wait times. So making sure we can anticipate queries like this and put out awareness in the forms of social media campaigns or how-to videos that we upload to our website or YouTube for SEO. So when people search for it and they have a query, they already know the answer, they can find the answer easy, really helps improve those efficiencies, shorten the customer wait time, and overall just improves the customer experience. So the example there you can see is from a campaign we ran to raise awareness about these features. Some of them are statements. So you can print up to 7 years of statements in your app. Again, this was very important during COVID because people didn't want to go in branch and we didn't want people to. And this is something traditionally people would go in branch for. Particularly this solution is available for personal and business customers. So we would have upped promotion and awareness around this when people were looking to maybe do tax returns for businesses. Another example is lost card, freeze card. So we all know the feeling when you've lost your card, your immediate instinct is to go and call the bank and cancel it. That's not always necessary. You can freeze it. while you look for it and find it wherever it is under the couch cushions, and unfreeze it. And then again, to transfer money, people often don't know that you can use the AIB app to transfer up to 1k to another Irish account just with their IBAN, as opposed to having to use any sort of card reader or anything that people might think. So this is something we did, and we pushed out in social, and we just continuously made sure there was a strong online presence about this, and we could track the volumes and topics coming in around these. Another element of that was to make sure that the guys in the social team were prepared with answers on all these topics so that we could answer them quickly and efficiently. So then the next prong of the approach is digital dialogue. So as Cian mentioned already, dialogue is really one of the true benefits of social media, and that feedback and interaction we can have with our customers. And it's not just about answering the question, which is obviously why they're here and it's so important. So we need to have those questions and answer them quickly, which is why they've come to us on social. But it's also about how we interact and how we speak to them. So as Cian mentioned, we have the Be Human approach to our content that we create, but it's also about how we speak to our customers. We don't want to come across as if we've copied and pasted a canned response. We want to come across as human. We're humble, we're supportive, we're empathetic, and we're positive. We're not just speaking bank jargon. So this is something the guys are really excellent at doing, and we get so much great feedback on from customers. And it's as simple as if someone comes in and says, I'm having an issue with my app, they might not say as politely as that. Before giving them the answers how to get back on the app, you can say, I understand that's frustrating. Here's the answer. Please let us know how you get on. And just that can help change the sentiment of a conversation. The guys in the team actually track all conversations that come in and their sentiment. So a conversation could come in which starts as a very negative sentiment, and by the end of the conversation it can leave as a positive encounter. So that is a true benefit of having the social media team there, and it's something customers are increasingly expecting as a service from brands. And then the final prong is digital assistance. So really I kind of tapped on bits and pieces of this. So it's having the how-to videos and the hubs and everything online. It's about empowering customers to access our own services before they even have to speak to us. And it really feeds back in stuff we've learned from other pieces around social listening or conversation queries into the guys. What are the main topics people are asking about? One example of how we created a solution for digital assistance was the COVID-19 messenger bot, which sat on our COVID hub, which is a dedicated website made with all our COVID resources, and also on our Facebook. And what it did was it had, say, a list of 5 FAQs, which were the top questions people were asking about payment breaks, branches, anything digital solutions that people could use, with obviously the option to speak to an agent if they need to. But overall, what this does is it causes deflection. So customers are happy because they find the information easier and quicker by themselves. It deflects conversations into the social media team or to the customer, our colleagues on the phones and direct as well. So again, helping to decrease those wait times at a time when they were quite high, improve customer experience, and just help our customers serve themselves online. So I think that's the top 3 for me, and I think I'll hand back to Cian now to give the results of the poll.
Excellent, thanks, Emer. So as we were saying, we were asking you, what do you think the future of customer contact will be? Was it going to be more web chat, more social media support, or more voice support? So let's have a look at the answers there. So 50% of people said more web chat, 42% of people said more social media support, and only 8% of us said more voice support. So that's interesting. So what I might do is, this is a little bit like Family Fortunes, so the audience said. So let's bring that up. So I'm taking this research from a company called Yext, and a fantastic company, by the way. They do great local SEO on our spaces. So what did they say? So as you can see there from that kind of white grayish kind of mark, that's our web presence. And they estimate that there will be less customer engagement on websites as we progress, which is a really interesting space. We would have felt as well, that you would think that your website is going to get more and more important. What they actually predict is going to happen is that a lot of that key information will be pulled by SEO onto the front page of Google. So it means that while your website is really important at kind of hosting really important information. It's actually how optimized it's going to be and how it's going to appear on the front page of Google, which is really interesting. Where they do anticipate the biggest jumps will be in social media messaging support. And as I was saying earlier, that's where our customers are feeling really comfortable in getting their support. You know, they feel that they don't need to air their problems in public. I don't know if you've been working in social media for as long as me, but I actually remember before Facebook Messenger arrived, and if you wanted to have any support on Facebook, you had to write it publicly on the wall and show everyone your business. People are more and more embracing that device agnostic support and being able to chat to people in Messenger, through WhatsApp, through direct message on Twitter. So we're going to see much more of that. And then finally, we're going to see more and more support through voice, which is really interesting. So there's been a huge surge in people using smart speakers. Certainly in Ireland, I know in my house I have smart speakers everywhere. You know, both telling me the news, but the companies are going to evolve to the point where they will have automated services and even customer services people available on the end of a smart speaker. And that will range from people getting updates on you know, opening times in branches to then more bespoke stuff. So you will have given permission for your smart speaker to access your bank account. So I'll be able to say, you know, how much do I have in my current account? Do I have any standing orders coming up? So it's interesting to see where that kind of customer engagement and support is going to go for in the future. So it's going to be interesting times ahead. So listen, thank you so much for your time this morning. Really enjoyed speaking with you. If you have any questions now, totally happy to take them. Or if you're a little bit shy and you would want to see my own customer care, you feel free to tweet me at Kean_Corbett. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Kean and Emer. I think that was superb. So I'll start off with a couple of questions because I think it's actually really interesting what you're talking about there. If companies are on this that haven't introduced all of the social channels, and I know from our little poll there, they sort of said web chat is the growing one, but obviously the research you shared is sort of saying, well, actually, it's not necessarily. Do you think they've missed the boat and they should go straight to messaging?
Absolutely. Like a lot of people are doing that. You know, they're putting that little messenger icon on the website, and they're really kind of embracing that as a way of supporting customers. For me, I think if you circle back into the customer behavior, it makes a lot more sense. You know, do you want to go to someone's website and wait for, you know, the little chat box to appear, or are you happy to pop into your phone, leave a message, and then come back to it whenever you want? And your phone is going to travel everywhere with you. You know, so the customer behavior would indicate that that's a much more natural behavior, and that's where brands need to go to.
And Emer, can I ask you, for companies, you know, a lot of companies, I think going back a number of years, would have just sort of added in by default almost a social, you know, Facebook, Twitter, because they felt they had to, but there maybe wasn't a strategy around it. So how important is it to ensure, you know, the principles and values that you talked about there are, you know, are agreed, but also are then, I suppose, shared out with the team that's responsible for social?
Yeah, I think it'd be very important. I don't think it's ever too late to go back and fix it, as strategies are always evolving. I think, like as you mentioned, it's so important for us to work really closely with the team on the social media team, because we can go out and create whatever kind of content we want and say this is what we're selling and this is how we approach people. But when people actually get to speak to the brand and the people behind the brand, we have to make sure that's replicated, so it's a holistic customer experience. And it's really not just like, it's not even just both of our teams. There's more teams across the banks. There's the products teams, there's our wider team in group marketing, there's our customer experience team. It really is a big approach, and a lot of things do factor into it. Obviously it can take time. Kean and I will be able to attest to that as well. Working in a big organization, anything can take time, but it's definitely worth doing, and you'll see the benefits.
Absolutely. And I think to just build on Emer's point there, I think she's completely right. You know, that the kind of service that we give on social media, it really does deliver on the promises that we're making in marketing campaigns. You know, that if we're saying there that we back belief and we're there to support you, if we don't act like that on our social media channels, the whole system really rings hollow. So and it's funny that actually featured in the 2019 CCMA entry, which we call Proof and Promises. and we really held up the great work that the social media customer care team do as the proof to the promises that we're making. So it's kind of the collaboration between those two teams really kind of make up that social experience.
Brilliant. A question from Rachel. I know we're going to go a couple of minutes over time, but I know people will be more than happy to stay on because this is a really good discussion. So Rachel says, hi guys, fantastic presentation. Thanks a million. Really great to see the conversation bot function work well for you guys, and is definitely one to be explored. I just have a question surrounding your chosen channels and want to query TikTok. Have you noticed a significant change in customer following and or customer sentiment? Is TikTok just an advertising channel? Sorry, let me just scroll down. Or are you actively using it in your social care strategy? And if so, how is it working?
Yeah, I think it's certainly a phased approach, and I think anyone who works in the financial services industry will say that it's very much a slow, phased approach. Kind of testing and learning as we go. So certainly at the moment, Rachel is completely right. It very much is that kind of advertising channel at the moment. Where we're going to go to the next phase of that will be engagement. And without giving the game away on campaigns that we have coming up, that's where we're going to go to try and contribute from a from a real kind of content leadership position. Whether people will use it as a customer service channel, I think is yet to be seen, but I wouldn't rule it out. I'm absolutely floored by the advances that TikTok has made, and I think for anyone working in social media, to see someone really kind of credibly challenge Facebook as a leader in the space is really interesting and very refreshing. But looking at their rate of growth, I wouldn't rule that out at all.
Great. And last question then, I'm talking the context of TikTok, the use of video content. I know in this house, anytime anything breaks or goes wrong, the first thing the kids here do is Google it and see a video of how to fix it or whatever. Are you guys planning using video much separate to obviously your advertisements and all of that, but in terms of solutions?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm the exact same. I'm at the point now where I hate reading instructions and I go straight to the YouTube clip, kind of teach me how to do it. I think at the core of that is that humans, we're social animals. We would prefer to watch someone do something rather than read and learn how to do it. And so at the moment we've a couple of projects on the go, teaching people how to use the app more, and to use our services more. So it's always going to be kind of a core part of our offering.
And last question, because I'm conscious of time. Susan asks, you showed a call volume of 227,000 and social interactions were 228,000. I take it this is annual volumes, so these volumes nearly match. Have you seen the split continuing to be 50-50 or changing more towards social?
I think it fluctuates.
I can start that question for you if you want it. Just because they're both actually our volumes from social. Just for the overall one, we rounded up. I think it was 227 point something in the breakdown, and we rounded up to 228 for the other one. So we didn't actually include our call volumes in this.
Okay, so that was purely social interactions.
It was purely social, so it would include as well any tags or we would get, say, across sponsorships of events and things like that as well.
And then, sorry, I'll squeeze in one more question. Operationally, your social media team, and I think we've Arlene on the call today, and delighted to see her there, one of our winners from last year, who I know is a member of the team. So physically, I know obviously now with COVID, but in normal times at the team location, the one location, is it a very large team? Are they split by channel? Are they multi-skilled? How from an operational perspective, how does that work?
Yeah, I've definitely described them as multi-skilled, and they operate over all of the channels. So they're a team of 7 plus in Arlene and Catherine and Sinead then on top of that. They're based actually in Naas. So Emer and I get the pleasure of calling down to them on a monthly basis to do our strategy sessions and making sure that we're all completely aligned. But we would be in very regular contact. And obviously with COVID, everyone working remotely, I'd say we talk to them more now than we ever did.
Great, perfect. Well, we're just at 11:34. As I said, we've gone slightly over, but I know everybody's still on, so they didn't mind clearly. Just to say thank you so much. I think people on the call will see why you've been worthy winners of this award for the last number of years. So thanks so much for that. And sorry, Rachel has just come back to say thanks again. Great stuff. Sorry, just checking that last comment. So a recording of the webinar will be made available. We normally have it on Monday. A version of the presentation will be made available. And thanks to Keena and Emer for being so generous and sharing that as well. I know you've put up your Twitter handle there, Keen, but if people want to connect with you, you're both on LinkedIn as well. So so really, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and hope everybody has a lovely bank holiday weekend.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Take care. Thanks,
Thanks,
Niamh. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.